Indiana Fever stars Caitlin Clark and Aaliyah Boston have been making waves in the WNBA offseason. Clark, who was the first overall draft pick in 2024, has more than proven her worth following a record-breaking college career. The 22-year-old topped the WNBA for assists, became a WNBA All-Star, and was named Rookie of the Year. Her performances played a significant role in the Fever reaching the playoffs for the first time since 2016. However, Clark wasn't alone in her efforts. Fever teammate and former first-round pick Boston was also pivotal for Indiana. Recent footage of Boston training at her alma mater served as a stark reminder to the rest of the WNBA. Indiana Fever star Kelsey Mitchell has shared a heartfelt tribute to her teammate Caitlin Clark, although she admits the spotlight brought by the rookie sensation has been challenging. Clark was selected number 1 overall in this year's WNBA draft and went on to be named the Rookie of the Year after a record-breaking debut season. The guard's success in college with Iowa already made her a transcendent star, and her mainstream status only grew in her first season as a professional. Clark, 22, helped spark a dramatic upturn in viewing figures for the WNBA as part of a talented and charismatic rookie class. For the most part, she has let her play do the talking, overcoming a difficult start to finish the season averaging 19 points and 8 assists per game, leading the Fever to a 20-20 record and a short-lived playoff run in the process. Two-time All-Star guard Mitchell, 29, has opened up on her respect for Clark. She wrote in the Players Tribune, "And I have so much respect for Caitlin, especially, and how she handled it as a youngin'. I hope we did a good job of being there for you, too. See, I gave her flowers early in the game because the eyes she brought shined a light on all of us, too." But Mitchell says with greater attention as a result of Clark's arrival came greater scrutiny, something that was particularly challenging as she grieved following the sudden death of her father aged 56. "We obviously had a new spotlight on us, with Caitlin being drafted, who I'm proud to call a teammate. That was exciting in its own way, with the fans it brought to the arena, and the opportunity it gave our squad," Mitchell explained. "But I think, in a weird way, the outside noise kind of made people forget sometimes that we're still human, if that makes sense. The microscope got smaller and smaller, and I don't think anybody was really thinking about the fact that my dad just died, or Katie Lou Samuelson is a mom trying to figure out motherhood and being a WNBA pro all-in-one, you know? We all had real things we were going through. I'll be honest, the spectacle was unsettling sometimes. Some of the newer fans have been really hateful online to the incredible women in our league, and to me and our Fever players as well. But we lean on each other to get through it. There were moments throughout the season when Katie Lou checked on me, and I checked on her. Christy Wallace was there for me in Chicago, when I couldn't hold back my emotions about my dad during shoot-around, and she noticed and gave me a safe space to just bawl my eyes out." Indiana Fever guard Kelsey Mitchell has announced she will indeed test free agency this offseason. "I've never been through free agency, so I'm looking forward to the opportunity to explore that for the first time in my career and have a say in my future as a basketball player," Mitchell wrote in an essay for the Players Tribune. The news comes 1 week after the franchise announced Stephanie White will be the team's coach in 2025. Several times throughout the season, Mitchell has expressed her desire to test free agency for the first time since being drafted 2nd overall by Indiana in 2018. "It's definitely an emotions and thoughts that flow through my mind," Mitchell said on September 27 during media exit interviews. "Obviously, I've always had a home in Indy, and it could potentially be a home for me again, but I've got to be selfish about the process." Mitchell, alongside Rookie of the Year Caitlin Clark, was one half of the hottest WNBA backcourt coming out of the All-Star and Olympic break. Both Clark and Mitchell were among the top 4 three-point shooters in the league, with Clark leading the pack, 122 three-pointers made. On the back end of the 2024 season, Indiana tallied a .643 winning percentage despite a 1-8.111 start to the season. Even before their late rise in the standings, the Fever were the hot ticket everywhere they went this season. "That's kind of one of the craziest things about our season," Mitchell said. "We obviously had a new spotlight on us, with Caitlin being drafted, who I'm proud to call a teammate." The Fever set a single-season attendance record of 340,715, surpassing New York's record of 250,565 set in 2001 over 16 games. However, the sellouts and media attention came at a cost, and at a time where Mitchell and others in the organizations were uniquely vulnerable. In her essay, Mitchell also wrote about grieving the unexpected death of her father throughout the season. It is one of the main reasons the two-time All-Star plans to take her time and consider what is best for her this off-season. This was one of the hardest seasons I've ever been through, in basketball and in life. Because for the first time, I had to learn how to do it without my dad, Mitchell said. There were games that I cried in the locker room before tip-off. But you wouldn't have known. I wasn't letting people see me like that. That was exciting in its own way, with the fans it brought to the arena, and the opportunity it gave our squad. But I think, in a weird way, the outside noise kind of made people forget sometimes that we're still human, if that makes sense. The microscope got smaller and smaller, and I don't think anybody was really thinking about the fact that my dad just died, or Katie Lou's mom trying to figure out motherhood and being a WNBA pro all-in-one. We all had real things we were going through. Mitchell also addressed the toxic and often racist vitriol that too often accompanied the increased attention. The spectacle was unsettling sometimes. Some of the newer fans have been really hateful online to the incredible women in our league, and to me and our Fever players as well, Mitchell said. Sometimes it was hard to see who was really in it for the love of the game and who wasn't. It took away the purity for me. I shouldn't even have to say this, but our team doesn't condone any racism, sexism, homophobia, or hate against any group. That has no place in our fan base. Period. Despite the new reality her grief and the growth of the league brought, Mitchell and the Fever stayed together through it all. They showed, once again, there is a promising young core in Indianapolis. And with the front office changes and the return of White at the helm, the expectation is this will be the core that gets the Fever back to the WNBA Finals. None of the chaos seeped into our locker room. We really held each other down. So our 11, who were professional, competitive, and selfless through it all, I wouldn't trade them for the world, Mitchell said. I have so much respect for Caitlin, especially, and how she handled it as a youngin'. I hope we did a good job of being there for you, too. See, I gave her flowers early in the game because the eyes she brought shined a light on all of us, too. The earth-altering experience of losing a parent cannot be explained, it can only be experienced. The foundation known from birth is irreparably cracked, and not everything from the life you lived before comes along as you learn to breathe and walk again. Although it is unclear whether Mitchell will find her way back to the Fever, the 7-year veteran left no doubt she is the professional she is because of her time in Indiana. When I look back at my journey with the Fever, from 2018 to now, and everything I went through, I feel like it was just supposed to happen this way, Mitchell wrote. And the road may lead back to Indiana, whether through the Fever coring and Mitchell accepting the Supermax deal, which would bump her 2024 salary almost $30,000 to meet the current Supermax salary. The Fever have over $657,000 in cap space to work with next season, per her Hoops stats. However, Mitchell could opt to forego the core tag and either negotiate a better price and longer term with Indiana or elsewhere. It's hard to know what the future holds, Mitchell wrote. I'll be honest, I don't know what colors I'll be wearing next year, which just makes me cherish the season and our group even more. Indiana Fever guard Kelsey Mitchell wrote a column for the Players Tribune in which she opened up about the ups and downs of her 2024 WNBA season, including the painful loss of her father, Mark Mitchell, in March, as well as hateful comments from fans. Despite the challenges, she also had heartfelt words for her newest teammate, Caitlin Clark. And I have so much respect for Caitlin, especially, and how she handled it as a youngin', Mitchell wrote. I hope we did a good job of being there for you, too. See, heart emoji. I gave her flowers early in the game because the eyes she brought shined a light on all of us, too. At another point in her letter, Mitchell addressed how the attention from new fans was one of the craziest parts of the season. We obviously had a new spotlight on us, with Caitlin being drafted, who I'm proud to call a teammate. That was exciting in its own way, with the fans it brought to the arena and the opportunity it gave our squad. But I think, in a weird way, the outside noise kind of made people forget sometimes that we're still human. Mitchell, 28, has spent her entire 7-year WNBA career with the Indiana Fever. This year, she enjoyed one of her best seasons, averaging 19.2 points per game and earning All-Star honors for a second consecutive year. She finished the season with 767 points, just behind Caitlin Clark's 769. However, Mitchell also revealed she is uncertain about her next steps. "And it's hard to know what the future holds," Mitchell wrote. "I'll be honest, I don't know what colors I'll be wearing next year, which just makes me cherish the season and our group even more." Mitchell has previously explained that her family will play a significant role in her decision-making process, particularly after the tragic loss of her father. "Obviously, I've always had a home in Indy, so it could potentially be a home for me again, but I think right now, the switching dynamic of my family and everything, I gotta do what's best for me. That's not hanging my hat on one team or another, but I think it's specifically for me. I got to be selfish about that process." In the Players Tribune, she wrote, "You don't expect your dad to die at 56. That sent a shock through our whole family and everyone that knew him. It hurt more than I could ever put into words. Pain and trauma makes you look at life a little different. I didn't know what would happen next, if I was going to play this season. How I was supposed to play this season." However, given her strong relationship with her teammates, it's likely Mitchell will consider staying in Indiana. The Fever can also protect her by designating her as a core player, which is similar to the NFL's franchise tag. WNBA teams can core one unrestricted free agent per off-season, but a player can only be cored for a maximum of 2 seasons. Since Mitchell agreed to an extension in 2021, she has yet to be cored.